cutting edge guests, awesome, uncensored, jaw-dropping information, plus funny memes, good deeds, and loads of laughter. Kind of have it all. Ladies and gentlemen, if your soul's awake, then welcome, because you're in the right place. Everybody, I want to tell you about the all-natural quantum wellness products that are used by Tier 1 SpecOps warriors and healers in over 50 countries worldwide. Better yet, this is a patriotic American business that you won't hear about on mainstream news because Big Pharma can't make a penny off something all natural and works, right? In fact, this is now shown with clinical studies from Dr. Christina Rahm that it helps reverse the nasty effects of those toxic arm thingies. You get it, right, Sommerts? This is roots. So here's the thing. It also dramatically heals your gut. It skyrockets creativity and it boosts mental focus. I've been using it for 8 months. An incredible amount of insight has come into it. When you go to therootbrands.com/soul, use the code SOUL and you'll get $15 off applied to shipping of your next order. It also increases your biosphere. As a Reiki master, I can tell you that the vibrational uplift of these products is second to none. So here's the thing, they also have zero in product. This is what rapidly boosts consciousness with intention and decalcifies the pineal gland. What's so good about that? It also gives you incredible amounts of focus without caffeine. This is all natural. When you go to therootbrands.com/soul, use the code SOUL, you also get a new code for you and you can set up your own distributor business. In fact, around the world, there are laid off benevolent healers, healthcare heroes, parents, and now Tier 1 special operators no longer being deployed who have worked their careers to be benevolent and serve the greater good of humanity. Well, some of those people are making big chunks of money every single month by sharing these all-natural products with people, and we're seeing amazing reviews. I mean, even with the Gimme Back My Youth product, which is all natural, there's women claiming their wrinkles have disappeared in just 5 to 7 days, and they look 25 years younger. This is all natural. All of that and more when you visit rootbrands.com/soul. Use the code SOUL, and you get $15 off applied to the shipping of your second order. By the way, when you add Roots Prime shipping, it often ships within just 2 business days to over 50 countries on the planet. And this makes it easy. You said it once, it sends to you every single month. Of course, you can cancel at any time, but when you see and feel the amazing effects of the world's first quantum consciousness, nootropic. Nick Sylvester on the West Coast, we've got East and West being represented. These two gentlemen are the brainchild of that amazing Cosmic Truth Tour. Props to Lewis Herms and his team from ScrewBigGov, who were the sponsors for that. And then props to Give, Send, Go, which allows us to finance that production and bring together amazing people from Huna Flash in New Zealand, traveling around, opening up Earth's ley lines, to Navy SEAL Team 6 DevGru legend, Michael Jaco, who teaches us remote influencing, remote viewing, and his beautiful wife, Tracy Jaco, and so many more. We will go through the names. The purpose of this, folks, is we're going to kind of share with you 1 to 2 minute highlights of each individual that's here. And as these gentlemen come on, to allow them to reintroduce themselves to the audience. And then for those of you who are brand new, you get to hear it directly from them. Who is Kevin Hoyt? What the heck's he doing in Vermont? Who is Nick Sylvester? You know, this handsome, big, muscular guy. Looks like King Leonidas out of 300. He pretty much could be, you know, but Gerard Butler muscled him out of the role. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show. And thank you for being on here for the next 45 minutes or so. It's an honor.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate it. And, you know, you give a lot of credit there as far as we're the brainchilds. It wasn't us, man. We might have been the organization behind it and the initial idea, but this was everybody. Yep. You know, you're looking at a pretty impressive lineup on your screen right there, Brad. And this happened instantly, organically, magically, however we want to look at it.
Right.
I said, hey, I think this is a good idea. Let's have our personal stories so people can get to know us a little bit. And the idea was to activate other people through our experiences in our lives. And I think it worked. I think it had a profound effect, but it wasn't just me and Nick. Like, it was our idea, and then everybody came together for this. Lewis Herms deserves extra credit. This was actually more his show than our show. I mean, I said, hey, let's do this and we can have a fundraiser. I didn't really know all the logistics that goes into
Yeah.
such a, this is a pretty big event. And when you get, go fund or a fundraiser, Give, Send, Go, anything like that involved. And we needed our own security, right? Our own servers to make sure it stayed up.
Right.
And Lewis Herms just came out of the blue, as always, because he's not busy. So Lewis jumped in and said, hey, I can do that. I can help you guys. And he did a fantastic job. And if I could just add one more thing, like there was one of his many helpers, Denise was her name. And this is a volunteer lady who was just, she's doing it because it's the right thing. She sat down at 8 o'clock in the morning and she didn't get up until 3 o'clock the next morning. And it was all the problems and all the things that were happening behind the scenes. Nobody knew about it because of people like Denise. And why I bring her up, and she's one of many, I'll say that again, is because afterwards she sent me a really sincere, thank you for letting me be a part of that, for letting me sit in a chair for 14 straight hours and get harassed by the public and all these other things. She didn't say any of that. She was privileged and honored, right? And it made me realize too, like, that's the power. Maybe Denise wasn't on camera and people didn't get to hear her story, but without Denise, none of that would have happened. None of it. It all would have fell down, right? And there's so many other, Allens and Joes and Gary and people that were behind the scenes there. And that goes back to the power of one, the law of one, the book of one, the power of one. That's you, whoever's watching. And without each one of us, we can't make it work. That's quantum. Right? Where we go one, we go all. And once we figure out the oneness, the unity, I think we got this, and it's happening. And how are you today, Nick? Don't want to take over. What do you think of the whole experimental story that we had here?
Hi, guys.
Hey.
As I always say, the most important thing is I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to be friends with all of y'all. I'm happy to be friends with all 20 of those little faces you see on the screen right now, because that's how it is. It's important. I mean, if I want to say one thing, it's important that the people that watch know that we're not like performers that are part of this, show. It doesn't work that way. Kevin and I mean, we damn near set the 20 people up in 2 days because it was easy. We could have done 40, because we're all basically, we're friends. We're from the same mindset, and we're not looking for anything other than to just be part of a group together. Most of us have seen each other in person. Some of us haven't, but it's planned that we will very, very soon. And secondly, all of these people are very decorated people from the past in the Matrix, but not anymore. We're all the same. We're all equal. Michael Jaco, all of these amazing things. Everybody has their own, input, or excuse me, their own decorations from the Matrix that society is so quickly to give or to take away. Well, this person's important because of all these things that we think are important. That's not how it is anymore. Okay. The people watching this right now are every bit as important as the people who are making this right now. So I just want to make sure to say that, and I want to make sure that everybody understands how we see it, and we're going to keep doing this, and we encourage others to be part of it and get involved as well. So Kevin did a great job. Everybody did a great job. Brad did a great job, but it wasn't like difficult because it's what we wanted to do. So anyway, I'm happy to be here as always.
Well, and we're honored to have you here. And I'm going to draw some attention here, folks. And when you go to givesendgo.com, the purpose why we show that page for anybody who's new, hasn't seen this, or is listening to this on the podcast or watching the broadcast, if you go to givesendgo.com capital G for golf, number 3, capital M for Michael, like Archangel Michael, capital Q for Quebec, and capital F for Foxtrot. So golf 3, Michael, Q, Quebec, Foxtrot. When you go there, you just make a minimum $5 donation. You can get the entire 11-hour recording. And what we're going to do is share with everybody here in the next 30-35 minutes or so some of the highlights, because it's like taking the Olympics, right? And watching all these master, from Paralympics to Olympic athletes, living out their dreams, and go, okay, in the next 35 minutes, tell me everything that happened in 2 weeks, right? It's impossible. We're just going to share with you some of the things. There are 2 people that you'll see here as I share right now on the screen, the poster for this, who we cannot say their full names. And this is another example of why we ran this conference. People that were invited to, like myself, from these 2 fine gentlemen here, and also another host, Kristen Cassidy, who's listening in the background, having a coffee. And hello to Kristen, she was on earlier. The 2 names we can't say are Janine, you can read though, the lead up, and then Laura, the last name. The reason why is big tech censorship has been pulling down channels. This will live on YouTube, Rumble, and BitChute for the Sovereign Soul Show, and be on podcasts. The next 24 hours will be on all podcast platforms everywhere. We still can't say the name. And that's one of the reasons that compel people like us, the 3 of us that you see on the screen, to basically be doing this out of our own pockets and be sharing, And what I'd like to do, gentlemen, if we just start left all the way down, we'll go from Michael Jaco all the way down to Rose Neves-Grigg, who will be on my show tonight, which is wonderful. And then we'll move over to the right. I think this is just a great chronological way of, just tell us 1 or 2 points for those folks that have come up here. How about we do that? That sound good for you guys?
Sounds great.
Cool. And for those who just joined us, you don't really know. Thank you, Nick, for that delayed acknowledgement there. For those of you that don't know, Nick, to me, is like the cosmic historian. He's one of Earth's living, breathing, encyclopedic organisms for our cosmic history. And so just to share with you where he's living in beautiful north of Spokane, Washington, near the Canadian border with his gorgeous family, this is the amount of incredible knowledge that he imparts and shares with you. Kevin, who started out running as an independent candidate for the governor of Vermont by exposing the pedophilia, the human trafficking, the ritual satanic sacrifice that was going on at all levels of government, from a municipal standpoint all the way up to the highest levels in Vermont. Former and current deer hunter, psychic deer hunter, as Lois Herman tells me and says hello to you. She just texted. He's now Huna, and he just had some remarkable experiences. So what you're getting, folks, are an embodiment of people. The highlights we're about to share with you, and the gentleman that you're about to hear from right now, are embodiment of people who have went from the kind of left brain world and then standing up from a patriotic standpoint, and that are bridging the metaphysical and our cosmic origins of our spirits that are living in this existence, this physical existence that we have in these human bodies, these meat suits, as some people might say in the Matrix. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for being on here. Why don't we start top left right now, Michael Jaco, and then go Nick, Kevin. What are the 1 or 2 highlights of what Michael Jaco shared in the show for you? And then we'll move over to his lovely wife, Tracy Joe.
Well, I'll tell you, pretty much everything Mike says is valid information for me.
Right.
His past is unbelievable. Most people can't even comprehend the things that he has said and he has done,
right,
with the CIA, with the SEAL team, being an instructor, with all of his developed abilities over time. It's just extraordinary. But the person he is himself is what's most interesting to me. Who he is now, not who he is then.
Right.
How interested he is in helping regular people. It's like a sunlight that's like trying to helping regular
Perfect.
people and just being there for everybody.
Yeah.
Kevin knows him a little bit better, but everything that Mike says is from the heart. None of it's BS, none of it's showmanship. He's a fantastic guy, and I look forward to spending a lot of time with him once this is over. So nothing but good things to say about Mike.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I gotta say, Michael's probably one of my biggest influences when it comes to following your intuition. And, I was a fan of Michael Jaco a long time before I knew Michael Jaco. And instantly when I was on his show, we were connected. Like, man, I've worked with this guy before. Like, there was a brotherly bond there. And I've never met Michael. I can still say that, right? But I look forward to the day too. He's become a really good friend. And I think, again, the insight that he gave everybody in this truth tour, again, we get to learn who Michael Jaco is,
Right.
how he developed his intuition. And again, half the problem I had with all of these guests, and it wasn't a problem, is I wanted to get your individual story. But we're so used to exposing corruption and teaching people and training. It was hard for us to get into that piece. And I think Mr. Sylvester down here, he tried to get out of it. He tried to do the same thing. And then we had to pull to get that personal story out of him. But I don't think we had that with Michael Jaco. I think Michael was very, again, transparent where he came and the stuff he talks about, whether it's, the secret space force and other avatars, or when he was removed from his tent by an alien, to get these implants and stuff.
Right.
Very open, very matter of fact. And here it is. I know a lot of people had problems, or some people have problems with Michael because once CIA, always CIA, and they think he's still a bad guy. But if he is, he's a horrible bad guy because he's got a great platform and he's given great information and he has awesome guests like Nick Sylvester on there. So if he's a bad guy, he's really bad at it. So again, I'm a fan of Michael Jaco, and I think he was a huge part of this meeting. I do.
Yeah. Yep, most definitely. And on a personal note for me, by the grade 6, I had read every Hardy Boys book and Nancy Drew, and I got turned on to Tom Clancy, Stephen Kuntz, and from there was introduced, this is grade 6, and Sister Lorraine, I'm sure she's not around anymore, nun Catholic school, and then got turned on to Dick Martinko, Richard Martinko, who's the creator of SEAL Team 6, Dev Grew back then. And I had read all those books growing up, and then to actually be able to meet and learn from for 4 days a year ago with Michael Jaco and spend time in their presence. And then folks, you get to hear everything, these backstories. We're sharing highlights from this amazing Cosmic Crew Truth Tour online. Get the video. You go to thegivesendgo.com/golf3 Michael Quebec Foxtrot. That's the link right to the show. You can consume it however long you want. It is also a clean show. It is a great way to wake up children, to have conversations with them about cosmic origins of humanity, as well as to some truths that were shared in people's backgrounds and how they got to be here. And speaking of truths to share, off we go to Tracy Jo Jaco, which is the wife of a former Navy SEAL Team 6 military wife, CIA, and self-proclaimed human hybrid Pleiadian, as well as human right now. Guys, let's go. Kevin, back to Nick.
All right, I was going to say
first, yeah.
If you think Michael Jaco,
amazing woman, you're right.
It is. If you think Michael Jaco is impressive and out there, then you're going to love Tracy, because she's another big influencer in my life. To go on the Michael Jaco show, you arrange it and talk to Tracy, sometimes 3 or 4 hours at a time, or at least that's how it's worked with me. And she has opened my mind on the next level. Behind every great man is a great woman. I think these guys hold their own individual platforms. And she was actually, as far as receiving comments from fans and other people, Tracy was a hit. And we should note that this was her first actual appearance. She doesn't go on shows. She's behind the scene. Again, something
I've been asking her for a year. You got her in 2 days. You guys have the magic.
It is. And again, that pushing each other. I'm really good at I try to get people to think outside the box and live outside the box. If you're not real comfortable doing something, you probably don't want to hang out with me, because chances are we're going to do it. I've always pushed people to that. And it's funny, again, Tracy is like a little nervous about going online and live. That seems funny to me. It did when I'm like, you're Tracy Jaco. Why would you possibly be afraid? Right. So we give them, again, with love and light, we give her that little bit of shove, and she was a hit. Tracy has some, again, profound things that she tells people, and I think she puts it in layman's terms so we can understand it.
Yep.
So
Thank
big
you,
hit.
Kevin. Off to you, Nick. What are one or two highlights from this wonderful divine feminine?
Honestly, Kevin has been introducing me to Tracy relatively recently. I'm just starting to learn some of the things that she has inside of that soul of hers. And honestly, it's a lot. There's a lot there. I know that Kevin and I putting together her conversations with Raine, that sort of maybe solidified her decision to, you know what? Yes, I want to step out into the public rather than sort of, you know, have Mike as the front man and I'm back here. She felt it's time to now join us in the front of the fight. But I'm just starting to meet her and learn, and man, she's got a lot of stuff. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
And,
my
you know, that
answers
was-
to her, the symbology, you know, she talks about symbols, you know, and literally is eye-opening, and the insights, and I would consider myself to be fairly discerning when I look at things, and she is on a next level. And for folks, if you are even open to the concept of reincarnation, and if you haven't read Michael Jaco's book, you don't need to, that's fine, because she talks about her reincarnation aspect here on Earth, and she hasn't been here for a while, not since her and Michael were in Egypt, possibly even with Nick's previous incarnation, you know, serving at the highest levels from a benevolent standpoint. Yeah, so really interesting. Next up, we have Jason Q. Unless Kevin, you want to add something to those points, we'll chat.
No, I think we're good. I was going to say, a lot of times people, when they listen to Tracy, and a lot of even truthers feel that, like when I talk to a regular person, let's say they're a little bit awake, they know a little bit, and then I sit down and just go blah, because I know I know a lot, so I dump on them. We do those
Right.
bombs, and we live, we sound crazy, and we leave the people spinning. I think that happens a lot with Tracy, because she is so far advanced. When
Right.
for a long time, I had a problem keeping up with Tracy. Right. And I thought I was pretty advanced, but she kind of set me in my place. Her and Raine almost have the same story. They're only 30 years apart. And she goes over the mother, the maiden, and the crone, and beautiful. She explains all this in that video. And if you want to jump right into again, Jason Reed,
Right.
another amazing individual that shoots.
Jason Q.
Jason Q. Next, but
sorry. I was going to Jason Reed.
It was also your guys' show, so if you want, go ahead, Jason Reed.
We had a couple Jasons on there, and they were both amazing. But Jason Q, as always, is like phenomenal. And to hear his personal story of how he got to where, again, that's a movie waiting to happen.
It was like that was divine galactic intervention. We talked about how he got healed. Oh my God.
How he got hurt, how he got healed. And for me, again, that's why I wanted these personal stories. I was in the structural steel industry for a long time. I worked with these mechanics. So for me, that was a connection to Jason Q. And that's why I wanted those personal pieces in our story. So Jason is always phenomenal. Again, the human encyclopedia, right? And I think he stayed with us the whole time. He never ran off stage to grab a document, even once. So it was a big success. So, and we kept him under 14 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to tell people the importance of who he really is. I spent some personal time with him in Vegas, and everybody watching, they know what Jason Q is on on video. They know what he's like. They know what he talks about, the human encyclopedia. Everybody knows him on camera. But off camera, it really wasn't that way at all. It was like a immediate brother. I mean, the minute we saw each other, we gave hugs, and we pretty much just laughed and joked the most of the time. We didn't really talk much about any of the stuff we speak about here. It's just we know it so well. So what was important to us was the brotherhood, the camaraderie, the soul connection.
Right.
And that is what was really striking to me when we met, is that alone, and him, making sure, running around, making sure people's flags were signed, or, the personal things that he wanted to accomplish, not so much just regurgitating information and intel. It was the person behind all of that. That's what struck me.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And
I'm watching these guys. If I could just add to that a little, I'm watching these guys develop and grow with us. Like
right.
Jason Q is a good example, and believe it or not, Michael Jaco is too. These guys are introverts.
Yeah.
They don't usually hang out with a lot of people.
That's right.
They have no problem doing a podcast. And
I'm happy being a hermit. Yeah.
But to get out there in the public, and we watched Jason Q, right? This metamorphosis where he went from this, he lived in his basement, and this is all Jason's done. To watch him in Vegas, and I wasn't fortunate enough to be there, but I saw the pictures with Jason and all these beautiful women from Vegas, and you couldn't smack the smile off this guy's face. Like, he had a lot of fun.
Well, steel lurker from south side of Chicago, hardcore and a good Polak as well, standing up for humanity. We've all been postdated Polish and Ukraine in the background. And we've got 14 people to go. And so we'll jump into David Mahoney. And once again, folks, all of this and more. So from my experience, Jason Q, actually, I'd never met him. What you're hearing is these are real human beings, right? Not somebody who's on a pedestal and they're living in a palace somewhere. They're literally doing their best to share with you the information they come across to wake up humanity so that we never, ever have to suffer again, realize suffering, ending the human traffic, the suffering in the world, the stuff that they're spraying in the skies, right? Again, this is here to live on YouTube. So we're speaking in certain code, and we can't even tell you the full names of two of the people that we're speaking about, because this will be pulled down from Apple Podcast, YouTube censorship, full on attack. And we've also had at least three of the speakers here. One of them is on with us right now. Kevin has had physical attacks, from brake lines cut to death threats for people that are standing up to say, you know what, this is not right. This is not right to go put human beings in FEMA camps. This is not right to be trafficking children and selling them and draining them of certain fluids. Disgusting, right? This is the type of people that are here. Just normal, everyday people that say, this is disgusting, I'm going to say something, right? See something, say something. You hear it in the airports when you travel. If you are traveling, well, we see stuff, we're saying stuff, and we're just bringing our own interpretation and experiences to the forefront as well. So all of this amazing background, again, is available at the Give, Send, Go link. And before we get to our next person, David Mahoney, who is on the list, you can go once again and tap right into it right now at givesendgo.com and /G for golf, 3, number 3, M for Michael, Q for Quebec, F for Foxtrot. All of those are uppercase. It's also in the link in the description down here. Make a minimum donation for $5 all the way up. That helps pay for the production time and everybody to get on here, because everyone who's been sharing has been doing this for free, especially David Mahoney. And hey, when you've got a former actor from Ireland, who drops the odd F-bomb and the shit bomb, it always makes for a good time. Who would like to go first on some of the information that David shared with the highlights?
I think I have to on Dave.
Mahoney. You're on the show each week.
Just real quick to echo on what Brad said. Look, we're here. We're not here for money because we don't make any. We get attacked. We get physically attacked. We get psychically attacked. Mm-hmm. We lose friends. We lose family. All of the things we do here, there's not a whole lot of glory. There's mostly pain and suffering.
Right.
But so just know that it's not a lot of fun to have yourself ridiculed by your family and old friends and all that. So Brad, I couldn't agree with you enough. Anyway, Mahoney, man, what can I say about him? I probably know him as well as anybody other than maybe Charlie Ward, because they live in the same city. But I'm on Mahoney every week pretty much. Um, I've flown to see Mahoney. I spent seven solid days with him, 24/7.
And you survived. Yeah.
Driving in cars, taxis, planes, buses, Ubers, you name it. We were together every meal for 7 days. I spent some time with his mom. Fantastic. Everything about him is genuine. Everything about him you see on screen is really how he is.
Mhm.
He has that much energy. He's that funny, and he cares that much about people.
Mhm.
And that is important. He does this out of love. And I mean, he's a brother to me. He'll always be a brother. I love him.
Mhm.
And I can't say enough of good things about him.
And another guy that brings in the sense of humor too. He's got that good old fashioned Irish. There's
Yeah.
usually beer involved, or at least we're talking about it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
this is another Huna, by the way,
Yeah.
right? Mahoney is also a Huna.
Mhm.
And I don't know if he ever sleeps. And you didn't talk about the hiking and the wading through swamps and finding the tomb of Egyptian pharaohs and chasing the stone of destiny. This
Which
guy is
in Ireland, this is what
in
Kevin's
Ireland,
referring
right?
to Nick did with David Mahoney in Ireland. We're talking about people that are actually financing themselves to go out and find out this and bring it to the world in 2022. This is now. This isn't
Right.
for a History Channel TV show for 10 years ago. This is
David's the real
self-financed.
deal. Absolutely. And I want to speak a little bit about the money portion of this too, because these links that we're talking about, this show is going to be available to everybody on the 29th for free. And every one of these speakers are going to be putting that out there. But this is a fundraiser. And the idea behind a fundraiser is to help keep this crazy train going. It's expensive when I'm buying cars, right? And I can't even live in my own home. I have to jump around. And that's just me. But we all have our own individual stories, and everybody involved, everybody on this list, this is their lives. This is what we do, right? We put everything we have, our finances are gone because we've put it all into this. It's not about the money. What we are selling here is the truth. That's what we're selling. And if anybody wants to contribute, that's why it's set up the way it is through Give, Send, Go, is because if you want to help, if you want to contribute, then please do. We can use it. It not only allows us to keep doing what we're doing, but it's going to allow us to do more, hopefully.
Right.
But if you can't afford it, if you're down and out, the message is so much more important. So you get it anyway. So I just want to reiterate on that. This is a fundraiser. The idea is it's going to fund everybody. All 20 of these speakers, we just, divide it up. And if you think we're making money, I think right now, as it stands, we're going to make about $500 each. A whopping $500, right? I spend $1,000 every week on gas, thanks to Joe Biden. So we're not making money off this, guys. We were just literally surviving like everybody else. And of course, our mission, I think, is pretty important. So I wanted to put that out there. Who's next on our list, Brad?
Next is Laura. And I'm going to preface this that now Laura is in the bloodline from a extremely famous patriotic World War II American general who then became president of the United States. And what she's doing is sharing the archives from that member in her bloodline who is no longer with us in this 3D physical world. And by doing that, by virtue of that, she's attacked, not both attacked physically and then psychically and spiritually, and still being attacked as a result of that and being pushed back on books and information coming up. Now, this is information that you can even get from FOIA requests, or up until recently via FOIA requests, as well as in the archives of her bloodline and family. And we can't even say her darn name here. I can show it on the screen. Otherwise, YouTube's going to give us a yank. Apple Podcasts may likely as well. So what one or two items, you guys know her as well directly, what one or two items you think are highlights that people should absolutely tap into here to see how this amazing soul and the vulnerability that she shared with everybody on that?
That's a beautiful word that you just used, Brad, vulnerable, because I think Laura was very vulnerable in this. And she gave us a very dramatic, very real interview. And in my opinion, I think she's probably one of the most powerful interviews that we had on there. It affected me. And again, it affected, I want to say, the team, everybody else on this list. And that's where I'm already seeing the profound effects of this meeting.
Right.
Not, within the team members, it united us that much more. We learned that much more about each other. And here we are working to help each other. And hopefully it has that same effect on other people. But even with all the things that Laura had going on, she still showed up to give you her piece of the truth. And I think it was one of the most powerful pieces out of everybody. What do you think, Nick?
Well, what you see there is real. It's not staged, it's not rehearsed, it's not practiced, it's real. Most people who know anything about Cosmic have known about her for years. Maybe they've been watching her for years. I know I have for a few years.
Yes.
But I wanted to share her as a person, the things that most people don't know. We spent time with her in Vegas. The minute I met her, it was like she was my sister.
Right.
It was like we hugged and we talked and we sat there and sat next to each other and, hugged each other as we talked. Myself and Kristen, we spent a few hours with her in her room. We had a couple of drinks, we had a few pieces of pizza, and we just sat and we sang Pink Floyd songs. Laura knows all the words, I will tell you. And the vulnerability, I mean, she's been attacked since she was a baby.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
Yeah.
Nonstop. The cabal has been inserting people into her life to cause issues, to cause problems, to try to recruit her to do things off planet, to try to, you name it, it's been done to her. She's never had a normal year, I wouldn't imagine, but she's still here fighting.
Yeah.
And that is what I want to emphasize. She's a real soul, a true soul, a vulnerable soul. And yeah, she has demons trying to get her left and right, and she's still fighting.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what else I'd more.
I saw that. I saw the power. That's what I said. She almost didn't, she was there for a minute and then she went away. And she
3 times. It was the
like
third
10.
time on the attempt to get on. It was the third
right.
time.
And again, that shows her character and her strength. I think she is an incredibly important, powerful woman and a huge part of this movement. And it's everything to do with her, not the presidential lineage. It's all about Laura. She's an amazing soul. I agree.
Yeah.
And next
I've got a note when I introduce somebody else in here. Actually, she's the inspiration for 2 of these speakers that we only found out by virtue of this conference that you gentlemen put on for everybody. So we'll go into it. Dr. Kimberly Woods, my audience already knows me. Unless
the
it's like an awakening thing you guys had that I
can't
shared.
do that. No, you're skipping. We got to talk about the BRAD. WAS, right? The WAS. I think you were an important part of this, Brad. I think you brought, again, an incredible story about life and death, just like Nick Sylvester did. And that's real.
There you go, the cat saying.
I'm not going to let you. I got the cat in the background. He wants to hear from you too.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Nick, what'd you think of Brad's performance?
Well, it wasn't really a performance per se, it's just there was some quite truths. Yeah, there were some pretty deep truths,
Brad is
share Dark Night of the Soul.
Brad is you're as professional person as I know. You're polished. Everything you do well. You try hard. It's just, but I mean, yeah, I have trouble coming into your world because I'm the opposite. I'm not polished. I'm not practiced, and I'm not, I just do things the way I feel like doing them. Yeah. I like doing what I want. That's one of our sayings. But no, I love Brad. I mean, I've only known you for, I don't know, month and a half.
Right.
But in that short time, I know that we're brothers, and I know that we're going to continue doing whatever this is for probably forever. And I appreciate all of the skills you bring to this, but more than that, I appreciate the heart that you bring to this. Everybody that knows Brad knows he's done everything in the world of the Matrix that somebody would ever want to do. Now we're going into the new world, and he's going to be leading that pack, just like he led the 3D pack. So kudos to you, my brother, and I look forward to meeting you in person as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Same. The Sovereign Soul is, look at those guests that you're getting now, Brad. I mean, you're on fire too, and we need you not just as a platform, but as a person. And anybody that tunes into our cosmic meeting can get your personal story behind what they're watching. So I think it's, again, we're not going to skip you either. We're all equals in this, and I think you're just as important as the next guy. So
yeah, well, thank you.
Now we can go to the next one.
I appreciate that. And you know, the important aspect to that, as I, not mentioning a highlight, because some people have already known, there's nothing that's been handed to me, where people, if you're listening to this for the first time, you just became a subscriber on our YouTube yesterday or something in Rumble. If it was child abuse, if it was sexual abuse, I've lived that. And then I've had my father attempt to commit suicide in front of me. I've lived through massive amounts of financial ups and downs. We're all still going through it. Haven't been able to work, exiled from Canada because I've been Canada. I'm a domestic terrorist in Canada. That's what I'm classified as, because I'm sharing truth and freedom convoy. And this has been 14, 15 months of nobody being able to work. We all have a production background, the three of us, in film and TV and what we've attempted to do. And we have moved forward in this, the three of us, to go and share and bring people and connect with them. And we keep talking about Vegas. It's a truth tour for anybody who's not sure. That is, Lewis Hermans did a 2-day finalized truth tour of truth tour number 1. So that's when they're referencing the Vegas conference for anybody that's not aware of, when they've met in Vegas, Nick, with people like Jason and Laura. So the whole point, folks, is you have people that were pursuing their professional mission, or what we believed was our purpose. Me attempting to go and become a Hollywood screenwriter and a director and a filmmaker, and maybe just about to make it, and all this happened. Same thing with Nick and his story, and getting shut down with the truth he was bringing with his TV series. And with Kevin, who 5 years ago saw the unjust unjust things happening in his state. And when I'm going to take a successful television series, TV show, where he had this massive global deal that he was about to sign, and when I'm going to do something and stand up and say something, see something, say something, stand up. And by virtue of it, that's where we all are here. So whether it is, living in your home and you've got a baseball cap on, or, I took $17 and made this, background because I'm mobile now, right? Rather than, so I've got the Sovereign Soul. And speaking of mobile, we've already heard from Kevin. Kevin is mobile because of the threats against his life, yet he doesn't stop. You go to his Telegram every day, he's posting, I've got all 14 county sheriffs. Here's the stuff with child trafficking and all of this election fraud happening. We don't stop. And so that's the key thing for everybody to understand, is that's what everybody here is being showcased. And there are others that you haven't heard from yet. And one of those is Dr. Kimberly Woods in Colorado, who I'm just going to introduce her as, a shaman, if you will. That's how she comes across to me. Gentlemen, you brought her on, just an amazing being. Kevin,
I was going to say, I can go first because I know a little more.
Yeah,
I actually
dragon riding.
Right. I actually met Dr. Woods in Colorado when I was in Colorado. Right. She's part of the Domnaher school. Right. And we're talking about Domnaher, Egypt and Italy, and now they opened a school here, but it's kind of like a Harry Potter school for adults, right? Where they learn about witchcraft and these other taboos. I want to say taboo. It's not just that. It's the holistic medicine, specifically with ley lines. The Hunas and those people were doing a lot of work. Well, so was the Domnaher group. It's a group I never heard of it. And before I met Lisa Schermerhorn, who was another one of our speakers, but they connected this group together, and now we connected them with the Hunas, and magical things are happening. But Kimberly Woods is she is like a shaman. That's a good description, because she's on all levels right up, out of this world. And I think her background in religion is also very important, which she again relays in this truth meeting that we had. Nick, what do you think about? You think the religious thing is her strong point? There's a number of things.
Well, when I spoke to her and I had a Zoom a while back, and we've talked on the phone, and her body of knowledge is damn near unheard of. She can, or it's almost like she has no choice but to speak over people's heads. I mean, her knowledge is just so vast from so many different schools of thought, so for so much from so many different topics. But I told her, I said, your niche may very well be she's been through seminary school. She knows the secular religion more than 99.9% of the humans on this earth, and she chose to come this way because she knows the truth. She knows how much of the truth that structured religion lacks or deliberately hides. So she would be fantastic at trying to help the people who are stuck in the religious boxes. She knows both sides better than almost anybody else. To me, I thought that was spectacular. So she can take the billions of people who are confined to this religious frame of mind, and she can help them understand by having knowledge of both sides. Yeah. She's amazing. She's an amazing woman.
That's really cool. And I appreciate you guys having her on. So I had an opportunity to understand the Devonshire School. I spent 4 years living in Boulder. I had my business, three of my businesses there. I had employees and staff there at one point in time, and I'd never heard about the Devonshire School. And I did my Reiki level 2 and my Reiki master's years later in Boulder. So just amazing how things can be right underneath your nose, folks. And this is a wonderful metaphor to use for things going on in the world today, especially in waking you up, that things can be just next door to you or information right under your nose. And you don't realize it until a certain period of time when it's brought right up in front of you and you look and go, wow, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that. And there were so many things that she shared, including with the dragons and the amazing ley lines that I didn't know about Colorado. And I have done some work in clearing ley lines in Colorado with the Reiki group. Like, amazing. So really appreciate you guys having her on, and that just bringing her to my awareness as well. Next up, bring another amazing individual to awareness. They all are Lisa Schermerhorn. All right, Kevin, you spent some direct time with her and Lois Herman in a car heading to Truth Tour.
9 hours.
Let's hear about
both Lisa and Lois know way too much about me because I wear my heart on my sleeve. In fact, Nick predicted it was going to be like this, and he has no idea. It was nonstop. It made the drive really smooth. And Lisa is another one of these amazing women. She's another Vermonter. So we had a connection right off the top, but she stood up in the geopolitical world, which is where we met. And then because of Michael Jaco, I was interested in past life regressions, and she just, oh, hey, I happen to do that. Oh, really? So I've developed this amazing relationship with Lisa, who is a best-selling author, an international bestseller. Her new book, In Every Belief is a Lie, and it's right in there, belief. Again, the title alone is genius, just like Lisa. And the best part about Lisa, she followed Dr. Christine Northrup, and again, on the whole vax thing and the shot. And Dr. Northrup had Maine Stands Up. So in her honor, Lisa started Vermont Stands Up, and it's become this really powerful group. And the best part is it's mostly women. So I go to a Vermont Stands Up meeting, and it's like 85 women and me. It's like the best ever. I enjoy those meetings with Lisa. And they're not hard to look at either. They're all beautiful, bright women, and just great to be around. And you get to hear Lisa's story. And what's nice about her is she knows her role. She knew her role way back when I first met her. And that was after this happens. She's part of the healers to help people adjust and come back, you know, to deal with the PTSD that we're all going to have. I think when this is over, like we're going to be so busy, like, you know, crying on each other's shoulders and taking care of each other from the heartache when we find out the truth. And I think Lisa's very aware and she's ready. So I'm watching her. They've set up this triage already where, you know, you go through all the stages to get where we need to go. And it's not just Lisa. It's this magical team again that just happens automatically. We're doing it, which is impressive. What do you think of Nick? Or what do you think of Lisa, Nick?
Oh man, you know, all these people are just so decorated and accomplished in the past. I'm not going to even get into that. I need people to know that you would never know it talking to them. I spent a lot of time with Lisa in Vegas. You know, we went and explored the Venetian hotel casino. We walked through it like 20 times. We were with Lois. We had ice cream. You're never going to hear anything from those women about listen to what I did, or, you know, let me tell you my opinion. No, it's not like that at all. Amazing heart, amazing spirit. Both of the ladies just took care of me. You know, my back was hurting during Vegas. You know, I had a bad back, and they were always looking for places I could sit down, or, you know, just doing things like that. And there's just so much love that was coming out of Lisa. I just love hanging out with her. You know, her, like I said, her abilities, knowledge, and accomplishments, they just go forever. But what I wanted people to know is how amazingly selfless, how amazingly without ego that all of the, you know, these people are. And that to me is what's important. They don't want to talk about themselves. They want to talk about you. What about you, Nick? They don't want to hear about Lisa or whatever, or Kevin or Brad or whatever. That's what's important. That's where we're going. And I'm going to keep harping on it. I want people to know what type of human being they are, what type of soul they are. And she is amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, she's certainly great. And it's awesome. She was just on the show, and we were supposed to go 45 minutes. We went 3 hours. So we're doing part 1, 2, and 3. So that'll be in editing coming up later.
It's like
TJ,
this one.
Yeah, TJ Green's another one. And I really appreciate how, Kevin, you brought him on the show and brought him to the forefront, because there's a lot of people out there who have felt that they may have been abducted, and also those who are aware and they've been afraid to speak up, like especially what's went around the world last 2.5 years, speaking up, losing friends, family, like Nick has mentioned. And TJ Green was very emotional and is describing his experience and continued abductions he's had. 1 or 2 things from either of you gentlemen on TJ. Very powerful.
TJ's about as raw and real as you get. And that's a Green trait. That's a Vermont trait. He's going to tell you the way it is, whether you like it or lump it, or whether you believe it or not. This is TJ's experience. And what makes him very unique, again, he's from my hometown, so I can speak to his credibility along with everybody in my town. TJ's a big bubble of light. Everybody loves him. He tells you the way it is, right? So that's boom. But his ability to recall the details of his, again, countless abductions throughout his life are phenomenal, beyond anything that I've ever seen. Not that I'm real experienced in this, but the guy below me down here is very experienced in it, right? So when I was hearing details out of TJ, I'd give them to Nick, and Nick would be able to confirm it through the other, again, hundreds of people that he's talked to and interviewed all over the world. So I think TJ is going to be super, super important in this movement in terms of, hey, you're not alone. And I'm already watching that. When TJ tells a story, everybody else gets to tell their story. And you can see, I can feel the burden being released, where these people have held on to the story for, 20, 30, 50 years or more. And they were the only person that, now they're able to tell that. And that alone is so magical. So I think TJ is going to be a huge part of this
Definitely.
as far as going to that next level where
Mhm.
we're talking about ETs and the higher planes and densities. And yeah, he's going to be important.
Mhm.
Kevin, I tell you what, I mean, I'm so happy that you introduced him to me and us, because he is one of the most heartfelt, genuine, and humble living creatures I've ever met. I
Mhm.
mean, just like
Well said.
love, and
Well
you
said.
know what I'm saying, Brad? Love
Yeah.
just
Well said.
oozes out of him. I mean, I could sit there and talk to him forever. We spent some time talking over the phone, him and I tried to explain some of the things that were happening to him, in these abductions, and there
Yeah.
were many, and sort of validate some of his concerns. And it was such my pleasure to
Yeah.
do those things. And I can't wait to meet and know him more. He is just a well of information and experience that so many people maybe have gone through, but just don't remember, or they remember a teeny bit or whatever. And for him, I'm not sure, I think he's about maybe 60, but for him to finally be able to validate some of his past and realize, like he says, I'm not a loser after all. You're damn right you're not a loser, brother.
Yeah.
You're a freaking winner. And
Mhm.
you are just, you're an amazing person. And thank you for letting me get to know you.
Yeah.
I got to add in more too, because that's an amazing thing that when he said, I'm not a loser, and I heard him say that, right? No one ever thought that of TJ.
No.
That was something I think TJ, I mean, I never got that impression from anybody, but that was a personal feeling. And he is, again, very personal when he tells his amazing stories
Right.
to the public in this meeting we had. TJ, I think, is going to be a superstar as far as helping people. And it's all about the love. You're right.
Yeah. And he certainly is. There's been a few shows he's been on. I just read the comments, and there are dozens of comments of people saying thank you because and then they start talking about their story.
Right.
And again, folks, use your discernment, take what resonates, leave anything that doesn't. But for anybody who's been a victim, whether it may be off-world alien abduction to child abduction, or they've been abducted by other people in their life as adults, the thing is that there's an outlet for a bond for people to connect there. So TJ was wonderful for that.
We'll get TJ on your show too there, Brad. And it's funny because one of the most important things
We're gonna
about
have both of you
TJ,
on. That's what we said before we started taping.
I'm interested in where this is going now, because TJ, once we've discovered him, and that's our next guest is Rose, right? Rose Nev Griggs.
Mhm.
Rose is an incredible person too. I don't even know how to describe Rose other than a shaman, a prophet, a spiritual
Right.
leader, an
Yeah.
incredible person. But now that we've got the TJs hooked up with the Lisas and the Roses and the Lois, and oh my God, I'm so excited to see what happens, because his story into itself is, I mean, you could make some movies out of this stuff. It's crazy stuff. So, and Rose, again, from Boston, she's originally from Brazil. Rose moved to Boston, just happened to be the same town that TJ lived in. Again, I heard Rose told me that a spaceship landed in their hometown of Brazil. I had a friend from Bennington in Brazil. That was TJ. Called up and said, hey, don't think I'm nuts, TJ, but can you confirm this? Are you near the town? He's like, yeah, I'm in the town. Right. And oh, by the way, I've been abducted by aliens, and we got 150 witnesses that confirm the last thing and all these things. And likewise, Rose moved from Brazil to Framingham, Mass.
Yeah.
So TJ's currently living. Like, you couldn't have made that stuff up. The odds of all that lining up the way it did, again, make it very credible and real to me. And it's just another part of this amazing story. So Rose is another superstar that, again, is on the next level. Nick, you've dealt with Rose a little, haven't you? Or did you?
I have, but I'm looking forward to meeting her and learning more. We did speak We did a three-way, me and Lisa and Rose, and I'm just amazed at her innate abilities. And it's like her abilities are so vast, and you know, it's almost like I'm still learning what it is she's able to do.
Right.
And I probably know her maybe least on the list, but at least I have had a hour or so to speak with her and sort of get a feel for her heart level and how badly she wants to help people, how important it is for her to be part of the solution to these problems. So fantastic woman. I can't wait to spend more time with you.
Yeah, it's all about the love.
And it is about the love. And with Rose, you know, what I see is there are certain people who can tap in and just communicate while they're also still present. So, you know, you have an Edgar Casey type of individual who may be channeling, and that individual soul leaves the body so the channel can come in. She is tapped into higher level of source and consciousness and higher dimensional loving vibrations, and she still remains. So this is the way that I see her. She can work from as a literal light healer, light worker, and still be present and communicate as Rose, in addition with the benevolent angels. I'm just going to use the word angels here to characterize them all around you and give you direct healing, which is phenomenal. And it's all just straight up love. And she's always giggling and laughing. So when you get to hear her story, when you go to the Give, Send, Go, make a donation, $5, you can get that link right now and jump into it and go around these speakers as you so choose, folks, and bring your children in, your loved ones, and an amazing way to have conversations.
That's the best description I've heard of her yet, Brad. I think that's fantastic. And for me, it's always the love, and not only Rose, but Janine, the next one we're going to go to here.
Exactly.
They feel like my mother. This is their mother figure, the one that's wrangling all us little children together and keeping us in line. And Janine is an amazing tarot, you know, card readers. We had a echo there. I always thought, you know, card readers, tarot cards.
Oh, we were trying to live this one on YouTube. Remember we had.
Oh, so I couldn't say that.
That's okay. I'm gonna have to go in and edit it, but let me do.
Well, you couldn't make it easy for you, Brad.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
I always thought these type of things were bad. Right. They were evil to stay away. And you know, once I tuned in and started to listening, this woman blew my mind. And what's even more impressive is now that we've got this, you know, truth family, if you will, it always seems like when we're, you know, we'll be talking and having a problem, and geez, what do you think about this? And what do we, and then here she comes with the answer to our solution. Like we don't even have to ask her. We just think it, and this woman answers us for us. And that's happened, I don't even know how many times. So she joined, she's our last speaker on this cosmic meeting. And she came in from the Haida Gwaii, and we had all sorts of troubles with communications, but she made it. We didn't get a video. We got more audio. She does a reading on the event. And again, just a phenomenal woman. And this is another lady that she makes me smile just by looking at her. Yeah. Like her attitude is always upbeat and so vibrant. And that's what we need in life. So I can't say enough great things about Janine.
She's awesome. She's amazing. Yeah. Everybody knows she's amazing. Everybody who's listening to this show has to know her. You know, and
you lost your audio, Nick.
That's okay. I'll boost it. Go ahead. Keep going. I still get you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Anyway, everybody knows her. She, just like Kevin says, you know, I'm not gonna call her a mom. I'll call her a sister. She's beautiful in every way. She's her skills are maybe without equal. Her abilities to read and discern what the group of cards mean is a gift to people. I can't wait to meet her in person. I've never met her in person, I can't wait to like actually feel that energy that she gives. And she is absolutely instrumental in this movement that we're in. So hats off in every way to Janine.
You bet. And my introduction for her is that she shared the highlight from that. One of the many highlights from the video is she shared that because of Jaco and because of Laura, this is one of the reasons that she came out and started speaking. And because of who she is, and you can read what it is that she does by looking at that poster we've already shown. YouTube knocked down both of her channels and she never had any strikes. So the spiritual awakening that's happening in this world and the spiritual people that are coming out and are using what can be considered esoteric forms of healing, reading, tapping into the spiritual realm, that's also under attack, right? And someone else, Jean-Claude, who had her on the show, just by saying her full professional name, they took down his channel. So, that's why if anybody's thinking it's a little crazy that I'm making a note to go back, I'm going to have to edit, like Kevin said, her full name to have this live on YouTube. This is exactly where we are today. Gentlemen, what I like to...
Yeah, I think one of the impressive things here too, Brad, is the fact that all this group, we all kind of knew each other or watched each other, and look at how we influenced each other.
Right.
Like that was a big part of this. We talked about Tracy, or now Janine, or Michael Jaco's lost a number of channels too. Again, this power of one, we're all one, is remarkable to me. So Huna Flash is next.
That's right. Yeah, Huna Flash is next, and you being one of the newly minted Hunas, and Nick, I believe you're taking it right now, right? The Huna course.
Getting ready to.
Let's hear about it. Tell us who is Huna Flash for those who don't know, and what is Huna for those who don't know.
Huna is the secret language. I can start with that. Huna is the secret, is what it means, and we're talking about the ancient cultural traditions. We're going back to Lemuria. We're talking before Atlantis. We're talking when people used to walk around with aliens on the planet, right? And everybody used to get along, probably life before governments.
Right.
So Mr. Flash is one of many Hunas. And again, I'm Huna Kawatasa is my Lemurian name. That's Kevin Hoyt and Lemurian. And what he does is he goes back to the ancient belief system, right? Ancient languages before life was distorted. And I can see an amazing connection between Damnahur and the Huna people. I can see amazing connections between love and light in these guys. So Kawatasa, by the way, that's my Huna name. That means I am the bearer of the first stone of love. I bring love and light, and my message is we're not alone, which that's my name. My mom gave me that birth name, right? She was part of it too, and she never even knew about it. That's been my message my entire life. So when I met Huna Flash and he explained that to me, it was amazing. And the things that I've experienced since becoming a Huna, again, are amazing too. It allows me to connect to source better. So that's what being a Huna means. It's part of something bigger.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I met Huna through Dave Mahoney and Katie Raine. They affectionately call him Big Huna. That's who Huna is. He is Big Huna, big in every way. The man's amazing. I spent an hour talking on the phone to him from Norway, and this is a realm that I am just now starting to get into and understand. Awesome. And the power and importance of it is almost mind-blowing. It's advanced stuff, people. Advanced stuff. But the importance is mind-blowing. I'm not going to even pretend to know enough about it to speak on it. Other than you will start hearing about things like this. This realm is going to be coming front and foremost, and Huna Flash, Big Huna is going to be leading the pack. Amazing stuff, you guys. Wow.
Most definitely. And for the people, I agree with you there, Nick, as well as Kevin. For the people who are not familiar with Lemuria, there's a wonderful book called The Women of Lemuria. I bought that for my current partner about 3 years ago, one of the stocking stuffers at Christmas. And that just describes this beautiful ancient civilization, to give everybody context here, of Oceania, which was finally acknowledged just a few years ago, that the partially sunken continent that connects Asia to New Zealand and over to Costa Rica and parts of the United States as we currently know it. And what was remarkable for me in my study of Lemuria, some of the recollections I have of my past lives and the work that I've done from Life Between Lives as well, gentlemen, and the QHHT I've done, is he helped crystallize a couple of the aspects of Lemuria, about the 4 different types of Lemuria that happened in the 4 Atlantises. So if anybody watching this is drawn to and wants to hear more about ancient Lemuria, where you take a Star Trek-like civilization, where we've seen in recent Star Trek movies, and then you bring it back hundreds of millions of years to ancient Earth, wow, it'll just freaking blow your mind. It was so cool. Barely anybody spoke because he just channels and has this beautiful presence. So if you had the breath of God to speak to you, that is the temperance and the resonance that I found with Huna. And you can find that once more at the givesendgo.com link. That's right here. And you've got the code. Again, by the way, if you forget the code, it's here in the description. You can just put in Governor Hoyt's Cosmic Crew Marathon, right? And you're going to find it on GiveSendGo. You go here, minimum donations $5. You get the entire 11-hour recording. And there are some people that you may want to just listen to again and again and again, because the terminology is truth bombs. While it's funny to say that, the using the term, as we're now talking about resonance and frequency and language and the corrupting of the language, the truth reveals that have come out about our cosmic origins and the spirits that we are walking this earth is just phenomenal. And what you're going to find as well from a guy like Lewis Herms, who's up next, who created ScrewBigGov.com, who created the Truth Tour, where many of these amazing people you see here on the screen have been able to finally connect in person, because we've all had a virtual relationship, whether it's phone, FaceTime, connecting, quantum entanglement. Lewis Herms is the gentleman who spearheads the ship of, let's get rid of government and let's go back to we the people. We all know the word government is from 2 Latin terms, the derivatives, governus mentis. Governus means control, mentis means mind. So they've been, ever since the Roman ages, the Dark Ages as well, they have been laughing at us, another one of the ways, because they say government, mind control, mind control, mind control. What is, that they want to do? So off to Lewis Herms, and you gentlemen have both been in his presence. Was there anything that kind of, stood up and stood out for you, where people should hear about him?
Lewis is an animal,
Mm-hmm.
an animal. Lewis Herms is probably one of the smartest individuals I've ever met in my life. When you talk about a go-getter, this guy, he doesn't sleep. Like he's been involved with everything, and not just involved, but he's taken over, and in a good way, and it's a professional way. And I bit off more than I could chew when I did this. I said, hey, we should have a giant meeting with everybody. And I listed 20 people, and everybody said yes. And then I was like, oh no, I don't even have Zoom. I don't even know how to run Zoom. And Lewis, literally, God sent him to me. I didn't have to ask Lewis Herms. He called me, right? Because we have some other things going on. But he called me out of the blue, and I said, this is what's going on. He's like, oh, I want in. I can help. I can do this. And I'm like, you can have it.
Yeah.
And I gave it to him. And he did a fantastic job. But Lewis is again, he's super smart. He's super intelligent. Michael Jaco will tell you it's probably one of the best remote viewers that he knows. Mm-hmm. People don't know that about Lewis Herms. Yes. But I think Lewis's insight and ability to see through the crap and predict the future is spot on. He's one of the best of them too. So thanks, Lewis, if you're watching.
Kevin, I agree. I've recently become a big Lewis fan. Before about a month ago, I truly didn't watch anything that I knew Lewis on, but I met him at the tour, met him in person, spent a little time, and I've become a huge fan. And you immediately can tell that he is a leader. He is an inspirational individual and a heck of a worker. If you ever want somebody on your team that you can count on, you might pick Lewis. So thumbs up.
You got it. Yep. Totally agree with you guys and all of that. Thanks for saying remote viewer. He's also father to patriot children who are serving in 3 different branches of the military, and who also stood up for their medical freedom. I'm just going to say that because of YouTube as well, and a great husband too. So also mentioning that. All right, on to another fine Canadian in this incarnation of the lifetime, Katie Raine. Something about her driving spaceships and being a pilot. Yeah.
I'll let Nick do most of the talking on this, because this is
exactly.
Nick kind of discovered her and introduced me to Kate, and Kate blew me out of my chair as far as aligning everything with me personally. Kate Raine activated me more than any other individual. And Nick, what do you say about Kate?
And another Huna.
You guys, honest to God, Katie, if you're out there, I could talk for a very long time about her. It would be very easy for me to pick a few things to discuss about her. Is virtually impossible. But the minute I spoke to her, I called her when she was in Mexico. She hadn't come public, she hadn't done anything public or what have you. And we talked, and I asked her, what are we waiting on? What's going on here? And, she sort of alluded to, well, I was waiting for the right time. And I go, well, when the heck's that going to be? And, she was like, well, I think that time is now.
Yeah.
She is the real deal. She is somebody that I would say no people have ever met anyone like Katie Raine. She is without doubt a wanderer, as Ra would say in the Law of One. She is a higher density soul that has incarnated in a human body for a specific set of reasons, not just one reason, but many. Yes, to pilot a plasma ship, sure, but there's a whole lot of stuff she's doing in the background with spirit energies, the Huna groups. She's going to be, she has been going from city to city, place to place, clearing stargates, energies, releasing soul energies, things like that people don't even realize is real. She's going to be going on this new truth tour, it appears. I'm not going to go into detail on where she'll be or whatever, but there's a lot of work that she's going to be doing. She's a true soul. She's without doubt one of the most spiritually amazing people I've ever known. I've spent a lot of personal time with her. I talk to her every other day on the phone, and she's always working for the greater good of humanity. I mean, always. So
she's not hard to look at either.
There's nothing fake about her, and she's beautiful inside and out. She's my sister. And like I said, I could talk forever, but that's what I want to say.
She's easy on the eyes. And again, she is, I think the only more beautiful part is the internal part of Kate. I mean, unbelievable.
Cool beans. Yeah, I got to let everybody who went to Royal Canadian Air Cadets and surfs, right? She crushed it as a surfer and above. Yeah, so wonderful. And another Canadian in exile who this, folks, is another reason why we're showing with everybody here as I look to it on the screen that regardless of what's happening in the world, it's not stopping them from sharing their part of their truth to help wake up mankind and do this on behalf of the greater good of mankind and the galaxy, and as well for all of the omniverses that are out there, because this is actually the planet Earth, whether you're aware of it or not. This is kind of like the last stand in this galaxy, and what happens here in planet Earth now helps set the stage for this solar system to continue to move forward in the Aquarian age. It also sets the stage for the up leveling of ascension and consciousness for all sentience life, whether it's beautiful Midnight Cat, which is the name of the black cat that Mark Attwood has at his home, or the one that's running around the legs with Kevin right now, for all sentient life to live in harmony and peace and love and liberty with each other. One of the highlights that I enjoyed hearing from Lisa Schermerhorn and Katie in Huna is freeing the souls, how they're going out and freeing souls that have been trapped. Hundreds of thousands of souls have been trapped and caught in a soul trap on Earth, and they're actually doing work to free that. So you're going to hear that when you go and you tap into these interviews, and you can jump right to the speakers in the edit and go right in and dive in and get an understanding of what is happening while people are going out, living their daily lives, now taking kids to back to school while they're in school. And guess what? There are people that are clearing Earth's ley lines, that are opening stargates to allow the benevolence to be ushered in and the evil to be vanquished forever. And if you just like a good sci-fi novel, hell, for $5 minimum in donation, it helps. And then, as Kevin said, if you know, this will be free on August 29th for everybody, because we do realize, like many of us, that there's so much financial harm that has been placed on humanity in the spiritual war. And that's about to be vanquished too in a couple of months. You'll hear about that coming up as well. Mark Attwood, lovely soul.
Mark's
How
a
did
great
y'all
guy.
get connected to this gentleman? Let's hear about him, gents.
Again, this is the UK.
Yeah.
And, you know, originally I literally listed 20 people, and all 20 people agreed except for 2 who agreed, but they had previous commitments.
Gotcha.
So we had to find 2 different replacements, and Mark came heavily recommended from a number of different sources. That's the first time I've ever met Mark, other than watching him as a fan. Again, somebody who has looked to him for a long time. I think this is another guy that's the real deal. I think he is channeling from his higher speech, you know, higher self, his higher guides, maybe God directly. I don't know. I think his poems are incredible, right? That's how he kind of got famous. He does these little video productions, and just another great piece to this team. And you get to hear his individual story, right, to what got him here and where he thinks we're going. I think Mark was a great ad. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, Mark's on the other side of the pond. Anyone who's listening who doesn't know Mark, you need to get to know him. The man is amazingly talented, amazingly accomplished so far in his life, but what he has to offer humanity in the future is what's impressive to me. And Mark, I want to get to know you personally. When I went over to Ireland, I was hoping to get with you with Mahoney, but that wasn't able to be arranged. So I look forward to doing a lot of work in the future with Mark. Solid, totally humble dude, and I love him.
Yeah, so wonderful. And he shares his poems. And another person who went from military background, Royal Air Force, and had his own awakening and red-pilled himself while in the Royal Air Force in England. And as Michael Jaco said on his show with Mark 2 years ago, he said, Mark, I've seen you in the Space Force. You're actually part of the Space Force. And Mark was kind of like jaw dropping. What? And he's like, yeah, you might want to check into that. You've been in there. So maybe he's done a 20 and back, as we've heard some of these folks say. And so it was really wonderful. And then another person like Lisa, I had him for 45 minutes to 60 minutes last week. We went 3 hours, and he's got so much to divulge. So yeah, Mark's interview, he's such a kind soul. Family of a father of 5, and went off and built a 9-figure business. 9 figures is hundreds of millions of dollars, folks, and lost it all 4 years ago. And he's doing this, like everybody here, to share and uplift humanity. And now this brings us to Lois Herman, #1 international best-selling author for the Hope Chronicles, a trilogy of books that she just published, spiritual hypnotist, Vermonter, friend of Kevin, friend of Nick's, and has actually done incredible healing work on them, which may or may not be relevant to the moment in this show, but I think it still kind of does. So I'm going to see that here right now. Gentlemen, what would you like to say about Lois's highlights?
You want to go first, Nick?
Cosmic Truth Tour.
Tell you, Kevin and I mean, we'll fight each other to talk about Lois, man. I mean, Lois is one of both of our very good friends. I've been working with Lois since probably, I think it was maybe the start of March, somewhere in that 6 month, whatever range. I talk to Lois every other day. I spent personal time with her in Vegas for 3.5 days, a lot of hours on the phone, a lot of hours on Zoom. And she is an amazing light. I don't know maybe anybody that's more spiritual and amazing as she is. I don't think I've ever heard her say a bad word about anyone in my life. She's super genuine. She'll do anything she can to help you. And her abilities are amazing. Just like I've said about other people, she is massively accomplished in her past life. She's got multiple degrees in many different facets of academia, and I love her to death. Can't wait to keep working with her in the future. And wow, what a human being. Lois is amazing.
Love her beyond death too.
What impressed me with Lois again is that, her analytical thinking. She's a patent holder for Hewlett Packard. Again, that you can tell she's a very smart woman, and she has an incredible past, right? Some tragic past, which made her who she is today. And the stuff she's doing now is beyond belief for a lot of people. Again, she's removing implants. What's nice about Lois, again, she's taken that clinical background and now rolled it over into the crazy with us. But what she's doing is she's actually cataloging and documenting different types of implants or different types of alien species. Right. So she's recording this. This is historic. Again, no one's ever done this, ever, right? She is a pioneer on the forefront of that industry, and she's doing it for all of us, and she's recording it for all of us, which no one's ever done. So I think her role, very, very credible person. And again, she's the one that's going to be our records keeper, and she's doing it. She's already doing it. So definitely. Lois is an amazing person, a big part of this team. Absolutely.
Yeah, most definitely. And she was so delightful, and to have her on, and I just had our interview posted yesterday on the show, thanks to you guys bringing her, like many of these speakers, to my awareness. It was just so wonderful and enlightening. And in addition to, from a Reiki standpoint, for anybody who's not familiar, Reiki is like what Yeshua, also now known as Jesus Christ, but previously Yeshua, the Christed consciousness, had shared hands-on healing and healing with your hands and from your heart, from around wherever to whatever. Quantum entanglement, right? As these gentlemen have just learned, I've got to watch this amazing process just in a matter of months with Kevin. Go from a Mountain Dew drinking, I'm a deer hunter running for Vermont against all of the governor of Vermont because of the massive corruption, and this is wrong, and I'm taking a stand. And now he's like, wow, I'm talking about the stuff that could be the crazy. I'm talking about etheric implants by potential, aliens who've come here to harvest us, to keep our vibrations down, to tamper down our chakras. She is one of the healers that are leading this in the forefront in the world, and she's not asking for it. We're actually the ones marketing her to share this because she has channeled amazing things from the 8 benevolent ancient ones and historians in the galaxy, in the Chronicles of Hope. And she works together, which is also beautiful, with Lisa Schermerhorn in doing this work as part of their healing circle that you're hearing here, that's brought to our forefront. We're about to go to our last guest, and as a reminder, go to givesendgo.com/G3 Michael Kilo Quebec Foxtrot, or just Give Send Go, Governor Hoyt's Cosmic Crew Marathon. Jump on there and you get access to all the 11 hours. And as you choose to go through that, most definitely do so. As the last guest you're about to hear from here, Jason Reed, whom we had on, another very emotional, touching moment. And I've had Jason on thanks to you, Nick. And then I've also done 2 direct shows one-on-one with Jason. And not once did he ever actually tell me that about his background. And, you know, to me, it's very touching and emotional with the experience that he's had, which have propelled him to do this and share information. Why don't we hear from you, gentlemen, about the highlights and whom Jason Reed is in this community and what he does for us?
Well, holy cow. You know, first and foremost, if nobody hears anything else about Jason Reed, he is the real deal. Anyone listening to this, you know, if you want truth, if you want major different avenues of getting the truth, tune into Jason Reed. Jason is in touch with the Q team, the real team. He is given direction by them. And if you want to know what to be watching or where to be looking or how to find this, tune into Jason. All right, that enough said there. Jason is an amazing soul. He's of a higher soul, of a higher density soul. Right when the first time I met Jason, I knew that we were brothers, very similar to Brad and Kevin. He is one of us. He's one of the good guys. And he's been through it all. He's seen it all. He's done it all. He's suffered it all like we. But like I said, he's one of the good guys. He's a member of the team. And anyone out there would be a better person if they had him as a part of their group. So I love Jason. Can't wait to work with him in the future.
Yeah.
Right. No, me too. Jason's a solid guy. And what I love about either this Jason or the last Jason, they are so real. Yeah. They're regular, everyday guys that are just going to give it to you the way it should be. That's truthfully, right? They're going to look right at you and they're going to tell you, they don't care if you like it or not. Right. Jason is a very unique, down-to-earth individual, and that's what I personally like about him. And his intel from Shooter is, I mean, it's top rank, like Nick was talking about. So he was a good piece. That's not our last guest, though. We actually missed one because of the marketing. We wanted to keep the 17.
Let's having a cup of coffee behind us there.
Having a cup of coffee behind Nick, right?
I didn't forget.
Another beauty, Chris. Another beautiful angel. Who's brought into this team was Kristen Cassidy, and she talks about being
Kristen. You need to come to the camera now. This is a cue.
This is her call.
You're up. Come on up.
And I think what she brings is, again, brutal honesty, but what you should do as a parent. Her daughter is going through some pretty crazy things. There she is.
Have a seat. We're going to speak about you and your daughter.
We're talking about you, right? Yeah. And I think, again, her daughter has some experiences dealing with a mermaid, which is very out there for most people. Most parents wouldn't know how to handle that, but she did. She listened to her daughter, right?
He
and then
did.
it just happened to be lucky enough to know Nick, right? So Nick kind of verified everything, but you were doing everything as a mom too. And I think you were a wonderful part of this meeting that we had, Kristen, because you were able to put it up there. So just thanks for coming. We're talking about everybody, and I wanted to say something about you too, because you were a big piece of it. So thank you.
Well, I was really, really excited to be a part of it. Thank you for having me.
And Nick, why don't you just relate the experience between the two of you, as Kristen is shy and walking off camera there, but she was on like you guys the entire 11 hours, so we got to watch you guys and partake. But the connection with yourself and Kristen kind of comes at a cellular level. Why don't you just touch on that right now, and then I'll bring it round it out here about the mermaid experience and why it's so unique that everybody, I believe, should hear about this too.
Well, that's good, Brad. Thank you, and double thanks for Kevin, man. Kevin will never forget about including everyone as being part of this important movement.
Mm-hmm.
And Kristen is unbelievable. She has knowledge about every little nook and cranny of this movement. It's amazing how much knowledge she has. You name it: cosmic, spiritual, geopolitical, cryptocurrency. She's involved. Most people maybe on the show maybe don't know her, but the minute I met her, I knew that she was a very important part of my soul family.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost ridiculous, and sort of like you see on TV, where all of a sudden, like, the whole cliche love at first sight, or, it was just, the minute we met, we haven't really separated since. And we know it was a cosmic destiny, so to speak, that we're sort of together. And it's happening with all of us, as friends, as family, as whatever. But she is quite amazing, and I appreciate you guys bringing that up, mentioning that.
You're most welcome, and I'm going to inject my mermaid aspect here for everybody, and this as well is a wonderful touch point on Lemuria, on Atlantis, on our cosmic origins, on watery planets, depending on where you have incarnated from. For me, it was Alpha Centauri B originally, is my soul spark, is my home planet for the incarnation of my soul's progress. Mermaids are a big thing in Lemuria and Lemurian times, and these are actually angelic type of beings and water creatures. Some of them have been reported have actually stayed on Earth and come back as dolphins or whales, what have you. The amazing thing is that they are also interdimensional, much like Bigfoot, Sasquatch, that Nick, you've been on the channel and we've spoken about too. So any of you who have had children or are aware of children who are still in their whole being and have not been indoctrinated, suppressed, and oppressed, and their light diminished by the spiritual war being waged on society, this is definitely a story to hear about, and how Kristen's 10-year-old daughter is communicating with this wonderful, benevolent angel and being interpreted by Nick. And again, that is off at the givesendgo.com, Governor Hoyt's Cosmic Crew. You can Google that. It's in the link in the description down here. I can't wait to have Kristen on our show. And since, hey, you know what? She's still hanging out in Spokane, Nick. Kristen, we might as well do this tomorrow since you're there, right?
He knows how to get an interview. Look at.
Yeah. We'll get that set up.
We'll create it all. Gentlemen, I have another interview in 1 minute. I do have to drop off from here and end the recording. I want to thank you both. And then by extension, the team, as well as the speakers, those that are known and those that are unknown who helped come together, allow this to take part. And a deep thank you to you divine lions and lionesses who have stood up, are standing up for the sovereignty of all our souls right now, and those who have donated prayers, wishes, to move forward here. It will be live and free on August 29th. Up until then, feel free to tap into it. Go to the Give, Send, Go, make a donation, grab that now, have those conversations, because the more people wake up, the faster we vanquish evil, and we have the benevolence that we are to totally enjoy. True abundance, true love, true magic we can manifest from our hearts and mind, and it's right there like the replicator on Star Trek. That's the life we are about to live. The sooner more people wake up, the faster we get there. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I have to jump off to this next show right now, and have a blessed day. Thank you all for your time.
Bye, Brad. Thank you.
Cheers, gentlemen. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Much love. Bye. Thanks for joining us on the program, ladies and gentlemen. Please like, follow, subscribe, share this with 9 friends and family. And of course, if you enjoy our blinged Buddha firing red pills from his 9mm, let us know.